So we've done our dyno run baseline. That's all been done now, and now we're about to commence the cam job. So we've got our timing cover O-ring set, cam phaser limiters, cam plugs, got our push rods, comp cam, here's the part number, it's a stage 1 cam, genuine Mopar track hawk lifters, head bolts, and the head gaskets. Obviously we've got to pull the heads off to do the job. So we'll get all this installed into the car, then we've got to fit the intake and the pacemaker exhaust system, and then we get it back onto the dyno to see what these magic parts give us. So we're in the stage now of fitting the camshaft back in. We've already tore it all down. So here are the MPS plugs. These remove the solenoids which do the cylinder deactivation. So 4 of them there and at the back. And one little thing next, we sort of, obviously this is our first one we've done, but we'll make a point of it. So these little plastic locks, or whatever they're called, these sit down in the hole, and you've got to make sure you pull these out when you put these plugs in. So if you're doing one of these at home and you don't pull these out, you're going to be in a bit of hurt. So yeah, just make sure you get in there, yank them out. A little bit tricky, but yeah, once they're gone, they're gone. So but here we go, let's put the camshaft in it. A little bit of a tricky sort of thing, but one good thing about these camshafts is actually the journals go smallest to biggest to the end, so sort of don't have much of a guide as you're going in, but you just got to feel it. Sticking it all the way in. Goes. A little trick that we do, we bolt the headers directly to the cylinder heads and we guide them down. There's actually enough room to carefully position it all back into place, and this will save your knuckles, your sanity, and not to mention hours. It is quite tied up in there with the towers, so rather than sit there mucking around, we figured it'd be a lot easier to do it this way, and works pretty good left and right side. Over a few of the things that we've done, just to recap. So we've installed the K&N cold air intake. Unfortunately can't see the extractors, but we're using the pacemaker inch and 7/8 extractors into a twin 3-inch system. So engine bay, that's about as good as they sort of look. I am curious to sort of get into this inlet manifold and have a bit of a play. I see some research I've done that there's some improvements to be made there, but the gains are quite impressive. So in stock form, 325 kilowatts at the hubs, 592 Newton meters. With the camshaft, the exhaust and the intake, we're now sitting on 374 kilowatts and 644 Newton meters. And if you look across the RPM range, so this is your torque line through here. So on average, we're seeing around sort of 50 Newton meters from say 3,400 revs. And then once we get to around that 4,800 revs, we progressively increase to around sort of that sort of 75 odd Newton meters by the time we get to the end. So, you know, so 50 Newton meters off the bottom, and then as RPM increases, we're actually increasing the torque, that's a good thing, because generally as the RPM increases, torque starts to reduce. Now, this has all helped because I've opted to go with the stage 1 camshaft. Now, most people always think bigger is better. Not in this case. So we've stayed with the stage 1 comp cam, so this allows us to still maintain at least half of the VVT movement. And by doing that, it allows us to actually play with the camshaft in the top. Now, that allows us to track the torque line, and as the RPM's increasing, where generally torque will decrease, we've been able to keep the torque line increasing as RPM is also increasing. So that's a really good thing, and these engines have a variable runner as well in the manifold, so they go from a short to a long runner. So combine that with the VVT system, and you've got yourself a car that can kind of keep the most flattest torque curve across the RPM range. And being a 6.4 litre, you know, that is a really good feature. So I've always been an LS man at heart, and that's what we've predominantly worked on. But after doing this now, I've got a complete different tone. So and I'll probably get shot for this, but I think I found my sweet engine. You know, these are a great thing, and because they've got the tech of the variable runner and variable camshaft, that just makes it so much more fun. So I'd love to get a bigger camshaft in now and utilise that, but piston and valve clearance, from what I see, becomes an issue. So as we dive deeper into these engines and learn more about them, we will certainly keep you guys updated. But that's sort of where we stand there. There is a couple of things I would like to point out. So we have unfortunately gone cowboy on this, where we've gone on the dyno in stock form. We did do a quick test to see what the intake would do, and the intake was good for about 4 kilowatts in the top end, but very marginal at best. So, but we didn't get a chance to test the exhaust system and do a tune. So these scaling is from completely stock to what we've done now. So intake, camshaft, and exhaust. I would like to do a further test where we would just do the extractors alone, the catalytic converters, and then into the factory cap back, because after now looking at the exhaust system on the car, I feel that would probably get the same result. Now I don't want to discredit the exhaust system that's on the car, because the car certainly sounds good, but from a cost perspective, I would like to do a test where we do camshaft, intake, or even just camshaft, extractors, and a catalytic converter, and then use the factory exhaust system and intake, and then see where we're at. So if you've got one of these cars out there and you would like to do that with us, we would be happy to offer you a discounted price to do the test, because now that we've got a bit of an eye and a bit of a hard on for these cars, I want to further develop these things to the point where I'm even going to probably go out and go buy myself maybe like a Cherokee or something like that. So, but that's our final result for the car. Super excited, can't wait till the customer sees it. In some of the video clips that we've put up, you'll notice that the camshaft is lopey. It's not a super lumpy camshaft, so it's not a racy camshaft. It's a nice lope. So if you're looking for an aggressive camshaft that's got more of a car shake to it, I guess the bigger camshaft comes into play. But I didn't want to sacrifice any bottom end power or low down torque through these areas. So keeping the smaller camshaft with the VVT, I believe, is probably the better way to go. But once we test out the bigger camshaft, it might be a different story. But based on my research and what I've done, I feel this is the better way to go. Now, I could do the whole ghost cam thing and chop up the camshaft more. And look, I may experiment a little bit with that, just to make it sound that little bit nicer. But if this was my car, I would much prefer to keep the camshaft where it's happy and keep the spark timing doing its job, just to keep the idle, on target, as opposed to making it jump around and being efficient. So that's just my take on the whole thing. I clearly don't like ghost cams. Other people do, but look, they have their purpose and their place, and not in my personal stuff. But look, we might be able to chop it up a little bit, and I might put a video clip up later once I do work that out. So just need to spend a bit more time on it and go from there. But anyway, that is the SRT, the 6.4 Monster. Love it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long and my editing wasn't overly cheesy. But anyway, see you on the next one. And don't forget, subscribe, please. It keeps me motivated. And keep an eye on our social media channels. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.